Now, in this part, we will look at the body paragraph of the essay. Before debating the main subject matter, it is essential to define and interpret the logical link between individual and society. To put in more concise terms, individual make society and society shapes individual behavior, beliefs, and actions. So it is a good definition. Try to make the individual plural because to be relevant, you can say to be relevant regarding the discussion. So try to use individual uh, in a plural form. Next thing, similarly, individual does not operate in vacuum. He or she operates in a society. Therefore, there is an integral connection between the individual and society. From John Locke to the postmodernist theorist, everyone believes and acknowledges the critical link between the individual and society. This thing, he or she, how to use these pronouns, I have explained in the later section. So we will go there and then explain this thing. So between the individual and society, so it can be interpreted that there is a logical link between individual and society. So it is a good way to start the discussion. Always go towards the base of the discussion. So when you are writing a paragraph and making it the base, you can say you are establishing a base for the discussion. So it is a good way to start you can say essay or your discussion. Given the logical link between these two, the interest of individuals and society must have an impact on this relation. Exactly, examination of the both interests is important to draw a clear conclusion about the importance of these interests. So interest is used over here. Try to you can say write something else over here. And again, the before, we cannot use the before the both in this context, because both is you can say already, it is a determiner that already implies two things. So adding the before it might make the phrase slightly less clear in written English. It can also act as one more thing. It is important to understand what does it mean, what is the part of speech of both. So it can also act as pronoun and adverb. So it is important to understand this difference when you are using both in the you can say in your writing. I have noticed this thing, so I try to explain the difference of its usage in written English. So it can also act as a pronoun or adverb, but when placed before a noun. So when it is placed before a noun, so it will be a pronoun. It is functioning, then it is functioning as a determiner. But both replaces a noun. When it is replacing a nouns, two people or things, so it means that it is used, it is, you can say, used as a pronoun. For example, both students passed the exam, means that both is used before the noun students, so it means that it is acting as a pronoun. We can use it as an adverb as well because it is modifying the verb. So we both agree on this point. So it is modifying the verb. Verb over here is agree. So when it is modifying the verb, it will be used as an adverb. The next thing, both individual and societal interest are the driving forces for the evaluation and devaluation of the society good. For of society, no need to use the of society. You are explaining the society again and again. Then no need to write the before the society because you are not referring to any particular society. It happens. It is you can say universal phenomena. So in the when the something is, you are referring to something that is universal, no need to write the before, because the is a definitive article and it is used before a specific thing. When societies are in progressive path, it is deduced that the both interests are existing in an equilibrium. On the other side, equilibrium of interest is unbalanced, then it is manifested in the form of chaos in society. Therefore, condition, peace, conflict. This is good, this is fine. The next paragraph, however, in some cases, best for an individual does not prove to be the best for a society. Again, the same mistake. Power maximizing tendencies of individuals largely undermine the societal interest. Though this power maximization and quest for one's own power needs proof to be the best for that individual. So though is already used at the start of the sentence and no need to put the comma before the though. So though is already introducing the contrast and you are putting again but over here. So it means that it's a bit redundant. So uh, try to put over here, try to put comma over here, and then impacts this tendency negatively impacts because adverb is used before the verb. So negatively is an adverb and impacts is a verb. So it should be used before the verb, not after it. The whole society, an illustrative example of the authoritative regimes can provide an insight into the case. These dictatorial regimes work for their interest while undermining the societal wishes. Rest of the things were fine. So this analysis was a good analysis, but try to use clear language. So this is very much important if you are coming up with good ideas, good knowledge, but you don't know how to portray, how to write the things in an effective way and in a right way. So there is no use of your ideas because you are communicating in a written form. Similarly, concentration of the wealth in a few hands also negatively impact the interest of a society. Few powerful people devise the ways to accumulate more and more wealth to serve their interest. This selfish practice can prove beneficial for an individual, but society bears the brunt of this injustice. Good line. This is the analysis line, analysis part of the paragraph. This is very good. Economic divide, also regarded as rich poor gap, is a manifestation of this interest conflict. Exactly. To explicit the issue more, I try to avoid using these type of phrases because it is not quite idiomatic in English, in specifically in written English. To elaborate on the issue, you can use this thing in place of this particular phrase. Industrial class in a society does not allow the free circulation of wealth, making the lower class of the society impoverished. So the sentence is phrased, you can say written, articulated in a good way, but there is a uh, critical issue over here that I mentioned over here. Does not, the usage of does not over here, specifically over here, this one and this one, does not allow, you can say this phrase, this one, implies a universal or absolute statement, while we can use can over here like this, because this is not a universal scenario. So try to use your language or try to put your ideas in a moderate way, while can limit suggest a potential for possible effect. So here we are, you can say, elaborating the impact of this particular behavior. So try to avoid to use this type of language that you are making an absolute statements. The same practice was witnessed in the late 19th centuries in the USA. The owner of the industries was exactly this was happened over there, and rest of the sentences are articulated in a good way. In a similar vein, the deviant behavior of an individual can be best for him, but compromises the stable social order of the society. Again, the people usually resort to crime to get some temporary benefits. It is best for an individual to snatch a purse for money, but the very act erodes the essence of social security. This is a good example and articulated in a good way as well. In a similar fashion, uh, act, criminals' activities help the deviant individuals to achieve the material pursuit while compromising the safety and protection of overall society. Safety and protection are the same thing. So safety and security will be, you can say, good choice that should be incorporated over here because it seems a bit redundant when you are using safety and protection. It creates chaos and disorder in the society. The situation impedes the established code of conduct of a society. So writing again and again the same thing with different words. So for example, if we look at this paragraph from here to here, the writer has put the same argument and he's explaining the things with different words, but the main idea is same. So try to avoid these type of tendencies. try to, you can say, you cannot elaborate a point again and again by just rephrasing your words. As a result, it does not operate in the favor of societal interest, therefore deviate behavior. Okay. In contrast to the previous discussion, societal interest can be disguised for individual interest operating against it. So, operating against it, and the reason behind this is that the largely held belief of a society. So, instead of using largely, the most common way to, you can say, to pitch this idea is to write widely held belief of a society, sometimes operate against the welfare of individual. To exemplify the case, patriarchy favors the interest of men but undermines the well-being of women in the same society. In some societies, patriarchy is considered best for society where men have the ultimate power to enforce the will over women. This practice does not serve the idea of a free woman. So this is not a solid argument, because in this, if we look at this paragraph, it is stating that patriarchy is considered as good for some societies. So patriarchy can't be good for a society. And you are analyzing a thing, writing, you can say, an essay, and you are giving such a weak arguments in between your body paragraphs. It doesn't give a good impression. So not never give a debatable argument. One more thing, the argument, for example, debatable means that those arguments which are controversial, which can be, you can say, which are debatable, and there is a large divide among the, you can say, scholars or the person who are debating about these things. So try to avoid those things. Always gives those arguments that are very much clear, and that are obvious that this is going to happen. In a similar way, in a similar context, societal interest sometimes selling the legitimate interest of an individual. This type of conflict occur in those societies where a minority bears the authority of majority. But this is a very good point. The interest of majority are regarded as the interest of society without considering the wishes of minority. Indian society, here we have an example of Indian society where, you can say, a can provide a clear example of case. The slaughtering of cause is largely prohibited in Indian society. The reason behind this legality is the majority of Hindu population that enforced their will over the Muslim minority. This happens almost in all societies because a majority is authority. So this is a good point to base your argument when you are giving an example of this, giving this sort of example. And this paragraph is also written in a good way with concrete analysis in order to open the new dimension of the discussion. This is very, you can say, good way or a sound way to shift the discussion focus from one dimension to another dimension. It is a good way. It is important to note that in when both individual and societal interests are in synchronization, in these cases, best for individual is also best for the society, best for society. The action again for omission of an individual in this case result in best for society and individual. So in order to write lengthy phrases and long lines, you can make your written communication more concise by just writing benefiting both. That's it. Again, we have the example of COVID-19 when the wearing mask was compulsion for individual, and it was beneficial for both that person and the society as well, because we were, you can say, aiming to prevent the spread of the virus. This is a good example and relevant, given in a relevant context. Try to give these type of example in your essays that are more relevant and that are happened in the current context. It means that this shows that the writer has the knowledge of current scenarios, what has happened, and he has a good grip on the current happenings.